Hello, I'm crime fiction writer Brenda Chapman, and with me today is Melissa Yee. This is the 10th in the series of interviews introducing some of the really talented Crime Writers of Canada authors from Ottawa and Eastern Ontario. Now, Melissa is the author of the Hope Sze Medical Mystery Series, a field she knows a lot about since she's a frontline physician, emergency room physician working near Cornwall, Ontario. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Brenda. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm glad that you were able to get some time to chat with me today. I know the pandemic has been keeping you pretty busy. We all owe you a debt of gratitude for your frontline work. So thank you.
Everybody.
Okay. I see from your bio that you dabble in many types of fiction and nonfiction. In addition to your crime fiction series, you write medical humor and speculative fiction under the name Melissa Ewan Innes. Additionally, you've written a couple of nonfiction medical guidebooks to help patients with specific ailments, and you also write short stories. So my first question is, how did your education and life experiences lead you to become a writer of crime fiction?
Well, it's a great question because everybody's life experience is just like a big compost bin, right? You just throw everything in and you see what percolates out. For me, for crime fiction, it's probably because the medical system in Montreal and in Quebec in general is pretty intense. And to move there from Ontario and to see the differences, like that was my first time seeing patients really waiting in the hallways, and there weren't any IV technicians, so the nurses had to draw the blood themselves, and the nurses had actually just come back from a strike as well when I came in. So a lot of things made me just look around and be like, wow, this is crazy. And I think subconsciously it made me think, if I had to go through this, I would want to kill somebody. So later on, like, I didn't think of it at the time, but it wasn't until after I finished my residency and I was no longer doing medicine 24/7 that I could take a step back and look at it and say, what if I wrote a resident physician who is switching from specialty to specialty every month, and every month she solved a crime?
Wow. Yeah, that's a great idea for a series for sure. And I'd like to focus on your Hope Sze medical mysteries. And they are set in Montreal, as you said. And what is it about this city that's such a good backdrop for your stories?
Well, as I said, basically, it's a city of chaos. And I didn't understand it when I first moved there. Like, I was just like, why are people reversing down one-way streets and turning left on red lights, and the roads are falling apart? That was even before I got to the hospital and saw all the challenges we were facing there. Then I was completely unsurprised, for example, when schools were literally falling apart, like a parent visited it and the window fell out. Basically just things are falling apart. So but on the other hand, I love the art and the food. Later I heard about the Bohemian Index, which is how many artists live in a city, and there are so many artists in Montreal. So when I go there now, I'm just like, somebody painted a dead tree yellow, somebody hung a doll on their bicycle, and I'm just filled with delight. Oh, actually, there's another story, which is I was going home on the subway, and a guy was holding onto the rail. He wasn't sitting down, and he's much taller than me. I'm a short person, and I could see he had something in his hair. So I was looking at him, and he bent over to show me that he had a Post-it note pinned in his hair. And on the Post-it note, it said, "Il n'y a pas de moment ordinaire." In English, that would be, there are no ordinary moments. And I laughed, and I was like, this is so great. Like, just every day is a day of discovery. Yeah. So that was what I really loved about Montreal. So it's these two forces. Like, there's a lot of like almost like horror, and there is such delight as well.
And vibrancy in the city.
Mm-hmm. People really live.
Yes, yes. And could you give us a brief character sketch of Hope Sze and tell us how she came? Well, you gave a bit, but how she came to be.
Yes, exactly. So obviously she was just directly inspired by me. So I was like, I'm also Asian with a Asian Canadian with a Chinese background. That was my age when I started residency. And people sometimes say, well, she thinks a lot, but she doesn't say a lot. And they're kind of surprised that she's sarcastic and swearing in her head. And I think people are also surprised that that is actually how I think, but I don't show it. I mean, obviously in medicine, you just have your game face on and you don't say a lot, even if you're working through things in your head. The difference would be that I was already married when I was in medical school because I had met my guy in high school. So she has generally at least two love interests on the go. So that's one difference, which I really enjoyed.
Living vicariously.
Yes, totally.
Okay. Now, the first book in the Hope Sze series is Code Blues. And you've recently released book 8, which is called, I love this title, Scorpion Scheme. And in this book, Hope and her boyfriend travel to Egypt. There it is. Please give the 1-minute elevator pitch for Scorpion Scheme.
Well, in Scorpion Scheme, Hope and Tucker fly to Cairo and find a man with a nail in his skull who could hold the key to millions of dollars in buried gold. And as impoverished students, Tucker is very interested in finding that gold, and that's their launching point.
Okay, that sounds great. Are you planning any more books in this series?
Oh yeah, so I'm working on book 9, and this one I'm looking into the prohibition and speakeasies and that sort of thing. So I still want it to be light because during the pandemic, at least I, and I'm sure many other people, don't want to write or read about really intense things. So in this one, she gets to party.
Which I hope we can all do after the pandemic. Now, your medical humor books have titles like The Most Unfeeling Doctor in the World, and they're based on your work as an emergency room physician. How much harder or easier is it for you to write humor based on your life experiences as opposed to creating a fictional mystery world?
I find these a lot easier to write, actually. I write for the Medical Post, and there'll be about 1,000 words usually per piece. And it's really cathartic for me to be able to take something that happened and turn it into an anecdote in the in essay form. So I really enjoy that. I think ultimately I do find fiction more satisfying, but it's so much more work to try and figure out the plot and the characters and research a new setting and everything like that. It takes me a year basically instead of being able to churn out my essays, which I also love. So they all work together.
Oh, okay. I'm sure people want to know how you manage your time. You're a physician, you have your writing schedule, and you also are a mom of 2 kids. What is your secret?
Oh, I don't know that I have a secret, but one doctor mother, her tip is always marry well. And that is so true. Like, I talk to other physicians who don't have supportive spouses or even have abusive spouses, which happens, in all walks of life and in all cultures. And it's impossible if you don't have somebody on your side. Yeah. So really, that would be my first tip. Of course, you don't have to find somebody, but if you do, make sure it's not somebody who's a drain on your resources and somebody you can work together.
Supportive family, whoever. Yeah. Okay. Have you any other writing projects in the works besides book 9 in the Hope Sze series?
Oh, yes. So in June, we're going to be turning the 3rd Hope Sze novel, which is called Terminally Ill. Yeah. It was supposed to be an immersive play, was the idea. And so I do have a team of 6 and we're trying to bring this to life. And originally we wanted to make it an outdoor experience because of COVID. Mm-hmm. So, and also because we have an aerialist who's going to be working with us. And it's just so hard to find somewhere with high enough ceilings that would be safe. But in the end, we're probably not going to be able to do that. It's probably going to be a Zoom thing. So please stay tuned for Terminally Ill in June.
Wow, that's great.
Oh, and I also could I give a shout out to my my improv group. So Asian Exploitation is an improv group based in Toronto, and the group is working on rewriting the Brady Bunch. So it's the Baozi bunch with one dad with 3 boys and a mom with 3 girls coming together and humor and family stories.
That's great. Okay. Well, to wrap up, I'm going to ask snapper questions to find out a little bit more about Melissa Yee. And here we go. Where did you grow up, Melissa?
I grew up in Ottawa,
Oh,
and I spent most of my life there, but we did spend 2 years in Frankfurt, Germany.
hmm, okay. From all your travels, which place did you enjoy the most? I know you've traveled quite a bit.
Well, yes, I think emotionally, I really love Maui, Hawaii, and I'd love to take my kids there. It just seems like such a special place, the people and the earth and the trees and everything there. But I also did really enjoy Egypt and South Africa.
Hmm. Where would you go next if there was no pandemic or when it's over?
I would love to be able to go to the Winnipeg Fringe Festival because I was supposed to go there last year and I'm supposed to go there this year. Don't know what's going to happen there, but the most unfeeling doctor in the world is a fringe show that I started up, and I was supposed to travel west in 2020.
Well, in the summer, I hope in Winnipeg.
Yeah, so usually Winnipeg is July and Edmonton is August, and so I had those lined up. Obviously, they had to be rescheduled, and I don't know what's going to happen, but that would have been my next. And I love fringe festivals. If anybody else wants to go, like I would love to hit like Winnipeg, Edmonton, Edinburgh, and I've heard good things about Adelaide and Melbourne as well.
Wow. Yeah, we went to Winnipeg in the winter, and our hostess kept saying, "This is really nice in the summer." That was the tag at the end of everything she showed us. What is the last book you read or are reading?
I always have a lot of books on the go, but one of the books I'm reading right now is Haunted Hamilton by Mark Leslie. I just want to also research haunted houses.
uh, what is the most memorable moment in your writing career so far?
Okay, so I have thought about this and I don't have one. So, like, I do love, for example, I was a winner for Writers of the Future, which is a speculative fiction award. And they flew us down to Los Angeles and we spent a week doing writing workshops. And then there was a big gala where they unveiled the anthology and we met lots of luminaries in the field. And so I enjoyed that, but I felt, and I still feel like the best is yet to come.
Mm.
So I enjoy these things and they're really awesome, but I also get a lot of satisfaction just in getting the right word and the right twist, everything like that. So I hope I can always just keep moving forward.
Oh, and what is your idea of a perfect day?
As long as I have, as long as I have writing and books and my family, including my dog, and yoga and stuff like that, then I'm happy.
Good day. Yeah. And what's something that people might be surprised to learn about you? Although there's lots in this interview of things people might have been surprised to learn.
Yeah, I don't know. But I did take lessons in acting and in musical theater during the pandemic, and I really enjoyed those.
Okay. And Melissa, it's been great speaking with you, and I'm really glad we were able to connect. Where can people find out more about you and more about your books?
So I do have a website, and the easiest way to remember it is myi.ninja. Okay. And if you sign up there, then you can get a free novella,
Oh,
a free Hope Sze novella, so, and hopefully get you interested in the series.
okay.
I'm also on Facebook. I have an author page at Melissa Yee Ioannidis, so all my names put together, and I'm under Dr._Sassy on Twitter.
Okay, and we will put your website link at the bottom of this video. So thank you so much, and all the best. And I hope.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks so much.
Perfect. Thanks, Brenda. Take